Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends. That's me. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other and come back the next week to grade them on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how much that thing is up our individual alleys. This week, we're going to be talking about the 2018 indie game Return of the Obra Dinn, as well as the new Rolling Stones album, Hackney Diamonds. But first, thank you all for listening. Be sure to rate and review and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to this in so you can find out how this season's going to end up. This will be episode 49, coming up on 50.
Yeah.
And right now, I am in the lead by 1 point, 55 to Jake's 54. Still pretty close.
Anybody's game.
Anybody's game. And we don't know when it's going to end, so it really is anybody's game at that point. How you been doing, bud?
It's been all right, brother.
I wanted to get in touch with you, something that we talked about a little bit last week. I said I was going to get Super Mario Wonder. Finally got it. Way overhyped, not by media, I think. I mean, Nintendo always puts out little clips online and it's like, hey, it's Mario. You guys remember this? Give us your money.
Yeah.
But streamers especially have been really hyping this game, saying it's...
Yeah, they talk about how it's going to be like a speedrunner's
dream.
Mario. Yeah.
And people that were kind of disillusioned with Super Mario Maker 2 because, I mean, it was pretty much the same game as Super Mario Maker 1.
Yeah.
With just a new...
It
was more of a DLC.
And it had... you could make worlds, you know.
But it was more like a DLC than a new game.
I can hear you what you're saying.
And also, no one bought a Wii U, so they had to make Super Mario Maker for a console that people actually bought.
Yeah.
Because I've never even held a Wii U.
I have.
Yeah.
I've played the Wii U. It was fun.
Yeah, but Switch is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone that I was following on Twitch and everything else, just on threads and stuff like that, people talking about it, how great it was. I even mentioned last week that I was fearful for Game of the Year, my Game of the Year.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it, I will say, and it's fine.
It's just a good Mario.
I don't know what I was expecting,
but
it's good. I mean, some of it's fun. New stuff.
Compare it to your Spider-Man 2 experience.
All right, so am I comparing it from like Mario Odyssey to Mario Wonder? Because that's not really a fair comparison.
Mario to Mario.
I mean,
Super Mario World to Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
I would go back and play Super Mario World before I'd
that's the
do
best
another
one.
playthrough.
That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, and that game came out 30 years ago.
Yeah,
whenever it did.
It's hard to top that game.
Well, it's a damn near flawless game.
Yeah. But I felt like this for a lot of the 2D Marios. I love them, but they just don't feel as hefty,
right?
As like Odyssey. Odyssey's a long ass game, and it's awesome.
It's not like it's story driven or anything like that, because even the story of Odyssey, which I think is probably my favorite Mario game overall.
Yeah, Odyssey.
Odyssey, just in the amount of times that I've just thought fondly
all
about
Mario games, even
I think
2D
so.
platformers. Mm-hmm. Damn,
Odyssey is a great game.
Odyssey is fantastic. I love it.
If it weren't for the Zelda games, it'd probably still be the best game on the Switch, in my opinion. I mean, games made for the Switch, not games that are for several things. But yeah, it's just good. I haven't played online, or I haven't done any couch co-op or anything like that with it.
Right.
Obviously, the story is nothing crazy. There are some parts that are legit hard, but obviously, you're not playing Dark Souls. Like, I'm not expecting this to be like a grind. And there are things like little special coins you find and everything, and separate
100% this bad boy.
Right.
You can get some other stuff.
But I will say the 100% bonus in Switch is just nothing. Like, there's just like, hey, you did all the things. I watched briefly our mutual, I guess, guy that we both watch, Gerard the Completionist, had a video about it on his page.
Yeah.
And he said, these are all the things that I did, which I think is everything you have to do to complete it. Whereas Spider-Man, I sent you a picture. I got the Platinum trophy in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And I will say Spider-Man 2, one of the best completion experiences. Because it's not overwhelming, but it's not nothing either. Like, you actually have to put in some work, and it's not easy.
But it's not overbearing.
It's not monotonous either. And it's a lot of, find these challenges, find these bugs, whatever.
I haven't
But
tried.
nothing where you just look at the list of trophies and achievements and things you have to do, and it seems overwhelming. Like, I've said this before on this show. I love Red Dead Redemption 2. When I look at what I have to do to get a platinum trophy in Red Dead Redemption 2, fucking psychopaths
Rockstar's
get platinum trophies in it.
Rockstar's trophies for their games are all stupid. That's when I used to try back in the 360 days. This is when I stopped, was because Grand Theft Auto 4, one of the achievements is to flip a car like 6 times, and I was like, that'd be an easy one.
Just
I
like in a crash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, like I couldn't. So I was just like, these achievements are stupid.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's also one of the things where the Spider-Man games and the other ones that I've talked about with Ragnarok and Ghost of Tsushima, they're PlayStation games made for a PlayStation, so they can make their achievements and stuff based on just getting the platinum in PlayStation. It doesn't have to be, the platinum trophy is its own thing, and they want to force you to get it. So it shows up like, I got the platinum trophy in this, so it shows up on your PlayStation Network feed, your trophy list, everything like that. They want to pump up those numbers. So they want it to be an enjoyable experience to complete their game.
That's a good point.
But with Mario Wonder, I mean, it's fine. I don't foresee anything, changing, like some big plot twist at the end of it where like, I was wrong about this game. It's good. It's very well made.
Good game.
I enjoyed a lot more than I enjoyed Super Mario 3D World that they put out, and with the Bowser's Fury DLC.
Oh yeah, I do love Super Mario 3D World. I had that on the 3DS.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I did Mario Maker. And Mario Maker was fun. I didn't get too into actually physically making the stuff, but the community involved in Mario Maker was great.
Yeah, I watched videos, but I never really played it. I own it. I just never really played it. It wasn't for me.
But I mean, I think this is fun. I want to maybe get into playing it couch co-op and maybe playing online.
Okay.
But I will say it's just okay. I thought it would be up there, but I fully admit I bought into the hype of some people. Not saying those people are wrong. I can see how if you
could buy a Mario game knowing you're going to get a pretty fun game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's worth the money.
At the very least, you're going to be happy with what you bought.
It's not my game of the year. I don't foresee anything changing that. I would put it probably below Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom still is in my top spot.
Wow.
But I imagine that top spot has been blown out of the water the past week with what you've been playing.
Yes, I beat Alan Wake 2.
Is this a platinum trophy situation, or just
I haven't
did everything?
Platinumed it yet. I'm probably going to restart it very soon just to
Is it a
play
new
it
game
again.
plus, or
it hasn't come out yet? They will have New Game Plus, and then I will beat it again on that. But I'm probably just going to beat it again just to beat it again. But that game is an incredible experience. It's fantastic, I would have to say. It feels like a game curated specifically for guys like me.
Yeah?
Yes. That has been sticking with Remedy for 13 years, being like, I don't know, like when Alan Wake, the first one came out, I bought the special edition. I have the...
What did that come out on? Is that PS3?
Xbox 360.
And that's PS3 as well.
No, it was Xbox 360 exclusive, and then it came out for
that
PC.
That generation. I'm sorry. I messed up. In my head, PlayStation 3, that time frame.
Yes. And I bought the special edition. I got the Prima Official Strategy Guide Special Edition. Ooh. I got the
paperback
Alan Wake Illuminated, the making of book that I've read. Like, I was in on this fucking game.
All in.
Yes. Huh. And so when they were like, we made a second one, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, cool. I get to end the story of Alan Wake. That sounds wonderful.
Right.
And then I played it, and they're like, oh, yeah, you've been waiting for this one. And they're right. It starts off wonderful. Really creepy, really good, slow burn, getting you back into the world of Twin Peaks, of Bright Falls.
That's why you like it.
Oh yeah, it's but it does its own thing.
Right.
By I want to say it was chapter 5, I think it was. It does its own thing. How
many hours were you into it?
It took me 24 hours to beat this game.
Beat the story?
Yes.
And do you feel like because I've not played any of these games. Is there a lot? I know there's not like collectibles and shit, but
there is.
But you feel like you've.
There's collectibles.
I'm thinking Mario Wonder. It's not like you have to find this weird thing or anything like that where it's like the same for everything. It's all like It's more like the Uncharted games and the collectibles, where they're like little trinkets that you can find that have their own little like personal thing.
Almost so. There's cult stashes around, which they have little puzzles that you solve to open them up. They're just like treasure chests filled with ammo or a weapon sometimes. There's lunchboxes around that have pieces of the manuscript that you use to upgrade your weapons.
Right.
You have words of power that you can find with your flashlight. It's illuminated, and they give you weapon upgrades. So there's stuff to collect and find. It's an open-ish world where you just walk around kind of like there's explorability to it.
Right.
But it's extremely creative.
But the things you find are
not necessary.
They progress.
For the game.
They progress the game, the story of the game. It's not like just finding a coin.
No, it's like just finding a coin.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need these things.
Game's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it just like really feels like it took them 13 years to make this game. It felt like that. It felt like it wasn't something
Worth the wait? Because I know they just
absolutely worth
when
the
did they
wait.
release it remaster? Was that just earlier this year?
Last year, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was great to play it again. I beat Alan Wake a lot. I really like that game.
It's your game, yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be one of those games where I probably beat it once a year or something like that.
Nice.
Because the ending is awesome. There is a part in this game that has a half-hour movie in it. You could just you're leaving a movie theater. It's just projected on a screen, and you could just sit there.
Oh, it's not a cutscene. It's just a movie that
it's a movie in a theater, and it's a half hour long.
Jesus.
And it's incredible. And I was like, I'll just I just beat this big part. And I was like, I'll just go back to the save room, save, and go to bed. And I walk out of the theater, and then I see the movie's playing, and I was
just
like,
in.
wow, this thing's just keeps going on. And then I ended up watching a whole movie, and I was like, this
24-hour playthrough.
Insane.
30 minutes of that was watching a movie.
That was great. I was so happy.
Huh.
You don't have to watch it. You can walk out.
Well, I'm just saying your playtime.
But
1/48
a lot of it
was
is
watching a movie.
Watching stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it does a really good job of blending its real FMV, full motion video, and its game
engine
videos. They blend together very, very well.
Oh, there's full motion video in this game.
Yes.
I had no idea about
There's
that.
good humor in it. Mm-hmm. It's just extremely clever writing.
Yeah.
There's just great little twists. There's little twists that you pick up on that you think you're picking up before Alan does. And then the game's like, no, we knew that you knew all along. And you're like, that's crazy. How did you
Sounds a lot like what you recommended for me this week.
A little bit. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's very nice that you get to understand these why I would like this type of game.
Yeah, because it feels like for the past couple days I've been playing the exact opposite of that type of game. Where, I mean, the Mario stuff's fun. You get a grappling gun at one point.
Mario.
It's a piranha plant vine that you shoot out, and it like grabs on. Like, what's the game where you do that? It's a pixelated game. You're climbing up a mountain.
Climbing up a mountain. And it's a pixelated game.
Celeste.
Oh.
That's what I'm thinking.
There's no hook in it.
But you do like that jump.
Yeah. You got the dash jump.
There's another one where is it Spelunky that has the grappling hook? I don't know. But it seems like they've taken a lot of little things from other 2D platformers. They're like, what if Mario could do that?
What Mario is exploring more is mechanics.
Yeah.
You know, how do we push the mechanics in an engaging and fun way, which is another fantastic way of exploring video games.
I think that's what they did with Tears of the Kingdom. I think they saw what people were doing in Breath of the Wild, and they're like, okay, how can we
how do we implement this into the game?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it work in the story?
Yeah.
And what are the fun little gameplay loops that we can find with this new creation of it?
I think Mario Maker was a psyop by Nintendo, where they're like, we're just going to put it out there and see what they do. See what they build, and then we're going to make that and then sell it back to them. And it kind of feels like that a little bit.
I can understand.
Yeah, it's like, those Coke mix-em-up machines?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they have
the touch screen.
600 different kinds of Cokes you can make.
Yeah.
You can add it with cherry vanilla or cherry orange or whatever you make it match.
Mm-hmm.
Coke does that because they collect all that data of what you're selling. If they're selling, there's a lot of vanilla Coke Zero that's going out, let's try putting that into a can. That way they don't have to try out new flavors. They let people make their own flavors, and then they sell those flavors to them.
This sounds so conspiratorial.
But it's such a low-level conspiracy that I love it. And it's true. Coke uses that.
Low-level conspiracies are so much fun. I'm having the time of my life.
I saw a fucking thing about low-level conspiracies. Yeah. That was just like so great. It was like some guy that had like a chart of the length of the cords for Dyson vacuums, and how they were gradually getting shorter and shorter. Right before they put out, what they like found out by the time these ones with short cords are about to die, and you'll need to replace it. Then we put out the cordless Dyson, and that's what they did. They're like, we're just going to create this problem and then sell them a solution.
Can I give you one? Can I give you one that I believe?
Go for it.
So the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out.
Yeah.
It's about 150 gigabytes
Holy
to download.
Fuck. Isn't it just like the story mode is
A multiplayer
like nothing
game
now,
and
right?
like apparently 5 hours of single player. I don't know.
5 hours single player?
Maybe I heard that it's not long. You can beat it in a day.
I saw a post on Threads. Like IGN gave the multiplayer high scores, but they gave the campaign like 4. 4 out of 10.
But I believe that game is so big because they want you to uninstall other games so that you'll be like, oh, I guess I'll just play Modern Warfare 3.
Oh, shit.
Because it's the only one that's on my...
Because it takes up such a
massive amount of your hard drive space.
Huh.
So that way it's like, this is how we make people play the game. We force them to. Not because I want to.
But because they don't want to have to delete that.
Yeah.
And then...
They don't want to have to install another game. Yeah, I have it installed. Yeah.
Now that I think about that, like...
Right? Doesn't it sound right?
I think the biggest game on my PlayStation right now is probably still Red Dead.
Yeah.
And I haven't played Red Dead in probably 2 months.
Alan Wake 2 is a beautiful game. It's at 50 gigabytes.
Yeah.
24 hours of content for me.
That's worth it.
You know what I'm saying? 50 gigabytes is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think...
That's a funny conspiracy.
I don't know if I heard it from somewhere. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Or you just made it up.
I think I made it up. And I think it's great because it's pretty crackpot.
No, it makes perfect fucking
But it makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. All right, well, yeah, let's get into that. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in the world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and that's important because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially if you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with your therapist, and there's a link in our description. It's betterhelp.com/Allie. That's betterhelp.com/Allie. Clicking that link helps you support this channel and also get you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist to see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't fit in with your first therapist, and that's common, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without the stress of insurance or who's in your network or anything like that. I'm a big proponent of therapy, and anybody that knows me can attest to the difference that it's made in my life the past couple years, and I recommend this program to anybody. So if you're struggling, please consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Allie. That's betterhelp.com/Allie for 10% off your first month. And we want to thank BetterHelp for supporting our podcast. So jumping off from Alan Wake 2 talk, are you doing a whole nother couple weeks in a row of a theme? Are you jumping from theme to theme?
I have an idea of what I want you to play today.
You have part of a plan.
I have another video game for you to play. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this new theme kind of started from when I was telling you about what I thought were the greatest stories in video games.
Yes.
And your whole theory of a good video game story is a story that can only be experienced via a video game.
What would make a video game what I would herald as top video game storytelling to me, like games, stories in video games, need that Ludo narrative to it.
Okay.
To make it excel for me. It could have a great story. Like The Last of Us is a really good story for a game.
But it also made a great
translated
TV show.
So easy to TV just because it's a really good story.
Right.
You know what I mean? It translates to comic books so easy because it's just a really good story.
Just like the amazing games Uncharted and the Academy Award winning film
Uncharted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither of us have seen yet.
I don't want to see it. But something like Metal Gear Solid is a story it's good, but what makes the story so great is how it plays in a video game.
Yeah.
So that's something that I could talk about.
It's playing in that sandbox. So that's what you wanted.
Well, it's not just a sandbox, but it knows that it's a video game, and it's playing with that narrative as well. Something that I point out to people that they don't think about when they're playing Metal Gear Solid for the first time is it's about Snake not having choice.
Right.
He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't want to do this. The only reason he's doing it is because you, the player, want him to do it. So, like, that's a theme of it, is he's stuck in this.
Meta narrative. That's
Exactly.
going on. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool stuff there.
So the game that you recommended that I play this week, and I have played, and God, I wish I had gotten this on PlayStation because I feel like it would have been an easy platinum to just put up on my shelf. I think I've done everything in this game. It's a 2018 game, Return of the Obra Dinn. So give us a little background of how you got into it, where did you hear about this game, and your experience with it, and why you recommended this to...
This is one of the best...
Because it's a short one. I'll say this. It's
a short game.
I clocked it, I think it was 4 hours and 19 minutes was my playtime on the Switch when I got what I'm pretty sure finished the game.
Yeah.
I got to the credits.
I
got to the credits, and they were... Well, we'll explain where I got... Explain the game first.
So, Lucas Pope is the man who created this game, and I already knew him from his video game Papers, Please, which even before then he had this game that I can't remember the name of, but you play a newspaper editor and during a war-torn country, and you're getting, like, you have to spin the narrative so that, you know, the government sounds great, but you're also getting fed news from the freedom fighters from the front lines that you can splice into the newspaper to try and get the truth out as well. But you have to try and do it so that you're not caught, but you still get your money, so that, because your money's taken away every week because you have to feed your family, you have to have your home and stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he makes these really cool games like that. Papers, Please is a lot like that, where, you know, people are just crossing the border. You play a border guard, and they show their passport. You look up their name, and you're like, okay, you're good to go. Another person shows their passport. It's like, says you have brown eyes, but you got blue eyes, so I deny you. But then there's a story that develops out of there and works on your humanity for these people in such a great way.
Gotcha.
I love his games. So when Obra Dinn was announced I was going to play, I was like, of course I'm going to go play it. And then I played it, and it's my favorite one of his, like, immediately, as soon as I beat that game.
So the story of it, just the background, is more than anything, this game does not hold your hand. It gives you everything that you need, the tools for it. So it starts... it's set in 1803, and it was... The Obra Dinn was a ship for the East India Company. It shows back up in port, and nobody's on it. You play as an insurance adjuster. You never given a name.
Nope, just an insurance adjuster.
A blank protagonist that you can just put yourself into. Cliche old-timey mariner guys rowing you out to the Obra Dinn. He gives you the whole, don't go out to this ship, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going up there, all that shit. You have... The only equipment that you have is you have a book that was sent to you. Yeah. Basically a guy that says, here are all the chapters. I think there's 9 chapters. And...
Fill up the book.
There were 60 people on the crew. Yep. We have pictures of the crew, not labeled with their names. And we know there are 60 people. You need to find out how they all died so we can do the insurance payout.
Find out what happened to everybody.
Yeah.
Fill out the book.
Who they were, where they died, how they died. Because at the end of the insurance, jumping ahead to the end scene, it gives a whole rundown of all your findings. And you're like, all right, well, this person died, but they died defending the ship. Yeah. So they get this much. Their family gets this much payout. This person committed a crime on the ship, so all of his lands are forfeited.
Yeah,
I said that weird. Forfeited.
Yeah,
and yada yada yada. So that's the guys that the whole game is set on.
Yes.
The
other item that you have.
Yeah, the MacGuffin or whatever that wants to
the gimmick of the whole game is
you have a pocket watch, the memento mortem.
Yeah,
and basically when you're next to a corpse, or where a corpse was, it doesn't need to give you too much, hand-holdy scientific explanation. It's like, no, this just does that. It's fine.
Yeah.
It plays you an audio clip. The game screen goes dark. And the visuals on this, sidebar, fantastic. Love it. It's first-person view. It's monochromatic, but it's just detailed enough. Yeah. It reminds me a lot of another game that I'll get into in a minute. And you walk out on the boat, and it's a small boat. Mm-hmm. It's 4 decks. I learned what an Orlop deck was.
Orlop?
Yeah.
For my favorite character in Frozen, Orlop, his whole deck. I'm happy you got one.
Good for you, Jacob.
Thank you, buddy.
Solid joke.
Yeah.
And you go up, and there's a body there. So you boot up your thing, and it plays the last little bit, and then
You hear an audio of what happened.
Right, and then it's a time freeze, and you could see what happened right at the moment of that person's death. It's a freeze
instant
frame.
he died is right here.
It's a freeze frame, but you can all
Walk around
You
it.
can walk around it
With some awesome music playing while you're taking in the scene.
Yes, the sound design's great.
Yes.
The voice acting's fantastic, but the whole thing is you view that scene and you can see what's going on. You have what happened beforehand, and then you could zoom in on people's faces, and it'll show you where that person is on the drawing
portraits that you have of them. Yeah.
It'll show you where that person is, and then in your book it'll say if they were in any other memories. And the whole point is you have to deduce who this person was,
Yep.
how they died, and then I think it's every 3 people that you get right in the book, because it's not like
If you get how they died, who he was, and how he died, if you get 3 of them correct,
then it locks that in.
Then it
it's
locks
just
it
like,
in.
okay,
Says,
these
all right.
3 are right.
yeah.
So it won't let you go too far down a long.
Which, thank goodness, because that would have been crazy.
Yes. So the chapters of the book are in chronological order, but you don't play through them in chronological order.
You just find the bodies, and then from there you find the other chapters.
Exactly. Yeah. So the story of the game was great.
Yeah.
So far up my alley.
Yeah.
For the story of the game. It's a little bit of gothic horror. It's a little Lovecraftian. It's got a little bit of just old-timey. The obvious comparison is Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which is just about a boat and these horrible supernatural things that happen to the boat.
I've never heard of this story.
You've never heard of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge?
No.
It's a poem.
Okay.
It's great. It's where we get the whole thing, the story or the expression, he has an albatross around his neck. It's from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner because
That's a saying?
I fear the Ancient Mariner, why dost thou plague me thus?
No.
What troubles thee so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross.
No.
Nothing?
I'll look it up.
All right. Well, it's good.
Yeah.
So
I have no doubt. I love poetry.
it's a lot of that, and it's real Lovecraftian elements. So I'm going to say the story of it, great.
Yes.
Nothing earth-shattering.
No, but the way it's told is so unique.
Which is why you recommend it, which
Exactly.
is why I dug it.
Yeah.
Because I sent you this when... it says there's 60 people. I found 60 people.
Perfect.
And I figure that's the end of the game.
Yes.
There's nothing more.
You got the yes. You got the package.
The whole ending.
Yes.
So I guess we could just go full spoilers, because even if you know the story of the game, piecing it together is everyone's going to do it a little bit different because everyone sees different things.
Well, let's try not and give the whole ending away.
But just,
I like the ending to be surprising, because that's such a cool ending to
Yes,
me.
it is. It's not a normal boat.
Yes. Things happen.
So essentially what happens is they're sailing around Africa. They leave England and they go, the first chapter, something bad happens. There was someone that snuck aboard the boat. They got crushed.
Yeah.
That's chapter 1.
Yeah, they tried to go through in a barrel.
Yeah.
And the barrel falls off the crane, old-timey crane that they used to put stuff on there.
Yeah.
And the poor kid dies. You don't even see his face.
Right. So that's chapter 1, but that's the second to last one that you discover in the thing.
Right.
It starts out with the first body you found is like one of the mates.
Yes.
And then it goes further and further. They're breaking into the captain's quarters. That's how the game starts. It's a mutiny. And you're like, what the fuck happened here? So then it's just like, okay, maybe it was just, a regular dispute.
Yeah.
That would happen on ships. Someone might have sea madness or something else going on.
It looks like the captain's lost his crew.
Yes.
So they're coming to take him out.
And
making sense so far.
Then you're like, all right, this checks out. And then you follow those dead bodies to other dead bodies. And then all of a sudden, in the way the game does this is so great. So it just has you, when you use your little clock to see a dead body, it plays the audio, like we said. The voice acting, top notch.
Yep.
Just, I don't know how many people they did on this, but all the voice acting is good. And that's important because you have to remember how they do accents. There's different languages being spoken. Some guys are speaking in, they were from Formosa. I think that's Vietnamese that they speak.
Something like that. Yeah.
Because it said at the end, like Vietnamese
where you,
voice acting.
Yes.
Or something like that.
You deduce who somebody is based off of.
There are people with American accents, British accents, Irish accents. There are people speaking Russian. And you have in your book the only thing you have to deduce who these people are is you have their name, their title, and where they're from.
Yes.
So you can pick up like, oh, that guy sounded Irish. So he's probably...
There's only one Irish guy on this boat, and so it's got to be him.
So
the deduction part is super duper fun.
It's like an ongoing game of Clue.
Yep. This is the greatest mystery game I've ever played, where there's not evidence for everything. No. Some stuff is
flat out
straight
tells
up
you
deductions.
You're going to have to guess.
Yes, sometimes you're going to have to guess. And that is so great.
And I always save those. One of the little game, like we said in the gameplay mechanic, you have two, I'll admit to this, you have two people that I knew were right, but you get it locked in after the third. So if that third one I'm skeptical about, I'm like, is it this guy?
Yeah.
No, it didn't lock in. Is it this guy? Nope, didn't lock in. Is it this guy? Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of
definitely
trial and error.
Yeah. Definitely gamified it for a little bit. Yeah.
And so there are some people, it shows you, it has the outline of the people, and then sometimes you're like, I know who this person is, and the game flat out tells you, you don't know who this person is. It's like you don't have enough information to do that.
Yeah, how do you know who that is?
Would you like to guess anyway?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, game. But then sometimes the person's picture will be clear, and the game's just looking at you like, you should know who this person is by now. And you're like, what I miss? And then you have to go back and double up on the experience. Great gameplay experience. But what I was saying with the voice acting and everything, then it goes dark. And this is when you get back out onto the deck, you're like, how'd this guy die? Goes dark, and it's just a fucking splash page like out of a comic book, because it is the monochromatic art style.
Yeah.
And it just a fucking kraken. It's just there, and then it's just like a dude being lifted up.
Just see big tentacles.
Yes.
See some people hacking away at one, some people being picked up from it.
Yes, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening?
Out of nowhere.
Yes.
And it's wonderful.
And it goes, but then you get to that, and I think that's chapter 8.
Yeah.
And then so you're working backwards, like, what happened before that? And then you're like, all right, well, I got this kind of figured out, and what's going on here? Okay, this chapter's called, the bitter cold. And there's people that have a sickness. And the doctor's like, they probably picked that up from this person, and this person's sick too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that guy died of a sickness. And I'm just like, check, good to go.
Yep.
And like, what's happening now? It's fucking spider monsters.
Yes.
This game is absurd.
The reveal of the spider monsters is so good.
Yes.
Those crab guys.
Crab people.
Because you find a body that's in between the walls. Mm-hmm. And you look at him and be like, how did you die? And he died being speared by something. And you can only see through a tiny little hole that something's going on over there. And you're like, that couldn't be a really scary monster, right? And when you find it, you're like, yeah, that's super duper scary monster.
Yes. So I think that's pretty much as far as we need to go in the story. It's very Lovecraftian. It's very gothic horror, like old school gothic horror.
But you're not in danger at any moment.
No. And that's
fine.
It's not like these things are coming to attack you. You're just walking around it. You're like, okay.
You were just looking at a story that happened. You missed all of this.
And so what you're saying,
take your sweet, sweet time finding out what everything is here.
So to your point of stories that need to be told in a video game.
Yeah.
If this were a movie, this were an animated thing. Sure.
Yeah, right.
I just be like,
it would have been a fun movie.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's like a cavalcade of errors.
You know in Watchmen how they have that random pirate thing in the middle of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Curse of the something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Voyage of the... Damn it. I remember the name of it. I really enjoy that story, but I can't remember the name of it. Excellent parallel to the Watchmen.
Tales of the Black Freighter.
Yes.
I just Googled that. Did not remember it. Full disclosure, Jake's the only one that could see me cheating. But it was kind of like that, where it's just like, it would have been fine. It would have been great. It would have been a fun story. Would have watched that as an animated thing and be like, oh, it was really cool art style. I really like this style of horror. And it goes back to where these monsters are coming from. Why are they there? There's a family that's the Formosan royal family that's on there.
Yeah.
And then there's warring factions. You just hear little things. During one scene, you hear people talking, and they're speaking in Russian, and it has the Russian subtitles, and they're talking something. And I think this is the one where I realized I need to start paying more attention, because the first couple you can just kind of breeze through. Where I think the girl says "Oh, I did this to your brother." Or someone says that, and you look at her name, and she has her middle name on there, and you're like, okay, so that's her maiden name. So who has that name? That's his brother, her brother. And you piece it together. But these two guys are talking Russian, and one of them's like, oh, you're cheating. And you're like, what? And then you see this thing, and it's something with a cannon, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you see off to the side, if you walk away from that freeze frame, guys are playing cards.
Yeah.
You're like, these are the fucking Russian guys. And then
Yeah.
you just mark them in your little book. It's like, I think these guys are Russian.
Yeah.
So when it comes up to who they are later, you pick the Russian guys.
Yeah.
Fucking ingenious storytelling. Great for this. Like, this gets a full 3
Hell yeah.
from me.
I knew it.
It hooked me in. It held me for an hour and 20 minutes. I don't really feel the need to go back and do it again.
No, but what I get a lot is to play it with other people.
Yes,
you know?
I think it'll be fun. It'll be something maybe like a year from now, like after I had forgotten it. Because if
Yeah.
I went through and did it now, I'm sure you could.
You could speed run it. But
Yeah.
like when I have somebody else, like I would have played it with you. Like if I hung around,
It would be
I
a
would have had a
fun-
great time just talking with you and watching you experience what I
It'd
got
be,
to experience.
it'd be a fun couch co-op
Because
game.
I could never get that experience again from this game, but to have that experience was awesome.
Yeah.
This game is incredible.
I bought it on Switch. It's available on all major things. It's $20.
Yeah.
$20 I got, and I was pushing through it. I got 4 hours out of it. That's $5 an hour. That's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Like for
I think
entertainment
it's worth
purposes.
it. It's something that I showed it to a couple of my friends, and they immediately bought the collector's edition.
Oh,
They loved it so much. They love it so much more than me.
yeah. I'm not going to
But
go that far, but it's
I was just happy that we had a great time.
what it reminded me most of. Where I got the little nostalgia for it is for a game that came out in 1993. Little game called Myst.
Yeah.
Do you remember Myst?
Yeah, of course. I never played it, but
So I played that game.
I was a child, and like nothing made sense to me,
right,
and I just
So
got frustrated and left.
It was a little above my intellect when it first came out, but it was. I remember my dad got it. We had Windows 95, and we had Myst, and we had Dark Forces, and Rebel Assault 2, and the rest of them were just. You remember when they just made a whole bunch of shitty Star Wars games,
Yeah.
and then a couple good ones? Like Rebel Assault 2 wasn't good, but X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter was fucking awesome.
Super Bombad Racing on PlayStation 2.
I'm talking about just PC. Calm down. Super Bombad Racing wasn't even the best pod racing game. Episode 1 Racer for the N64 was the best pod racing game. Racer Revenge was pretty good too.
Rogue Squadron, best Star Wars game out there. That Rogue Squadron series absolutely
Is it though?
kills. I love it so much.
Not the best Star Wars game.
But then again, that's why I love Wedge Antilles so much, because he's
And
just around.
enough to call him Wedge Antilles.
Wedge
which is
Antilles.
Achilles.
Wedge Achilles heel.
Wedge Achilles heel. Wedge is also a heel.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wedge
didn't
is
think of
also a heel.
Achilles heel and a wedge is a type of heeled shoe.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
That's so stupid.
Are we the first people to think of that?
No, probably the last ones to catch up to it.
Is that a pun?
I don't know. Wedge Antilles.
Wow, sidetrack. Anyway, so we had Myst, and it's a point-and-click game. But it's really, it was the best graphics because it was just pictures. Like, that's the way you could do it. And then it had some parts that would move in the pictures, like you click a thing and the dial turns or whatever. And I remember we had the strategy guide to that. Like, we had the book. Tells you how to do it. And then the sequel came out, which was called Riven. Riven was 5 discs. And it was a motherfucker. I couldn't figure out anything in that game because they would have you jumping back and forth between go to disc 4 and now you go into this corner and then you got to go back to disc 2.
Yeah, don't miss that.
It was a pain in the ass. And I remember I wanted to play those games, but I was just young enough to where like I had a pen and paper, and then like, there's time where like you're in a minecart and you have to like add numbers together to get this, but you also have to remember some other shit. It was just right above my pay grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it, but I used.
Like recently.
No, I have no
I'm
interest.
interested.
No interest in going back
because there's people that I follow on YouTube that I watch, and Myst is like one of their favorite games.
Myst is great, but I was just
I'm interested.
At that age when Myst came out. I was,
but again, I was a kid, and it just like didn't click with me, so I just never went back to it.
But this Return of the Obra Dinn, obviously, I'm an adult man now.
Yeah,
with logic and reasoning and the ability to deduce things like those fuckers are Russian.
Yeah.
A lot of my guesses, I will say this, not super proud of. I'm like, that guy probably from this place, just based on the artwork. And also that accent, that's the American. Yeah. Got him. Like, got you right away. Like, that's the one accent I could pick up on.
Oi.
Yeah, what it gives
Oi,
me.
I'm a Spaniard.
Yeah, that's it. You're a Spaniard stock.
My paella, oi. There you go. And then you're like, that's the Spanish one. I'll put it in the book.
Yeah. But it was like right at my level, and it felt really good solving the puzzles. Like when you pushed it together, like there was a couple. I'll admit there were a couple little fist pumps down here where I'm just like, yes, I knew it.
But I love when the pocket watch shakes because there's another person dead in the scene, and it wants you to go find it.
Yeah.
And
it does like a Donnie Darko thing where it's like a tube shooting out.
You follow this little smoky orb as it dances around to beautiful music and just takes its sweet time finding its way and being like, there's the corpse right there.
Yep.
Go ahead and take a look.
Found it. Why don't you look around there? See what's up there.
Every time it happens, I'm like, this is so beautiful.
I will say this. For people that are interested in this game, if this sounds remotely interesting to you, I would say get it and set aside a couple hours that you could dedicate to it in a row. Mm-hmm. Because I did play it, like I booted it up and played like maybe an hour and a half, and then it was late, and I was like, I'm going to finish this tomorrow. Mm-hmm. When I got back into it, I was like, what the fuck was I doing? Like I quit in between or in the middle of a chapter. I was just like, wait, have I gone this way yet? Like, where am I going? And it took me probably about 15 minutes to get back on track to what I was doing.
Right.
So definitely get it. It's definitely worth checking out. And
one of the coolest.
Set some time to it.
One of the coolest endings I've ever seen in a game.
Very rewarding.
Not believe how awesome that ending was.
Yeah.
So
some things like
get the 100% ending because I was like, damn, that's how you end a good game.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see the other ending, which is very interesting. So I'll explain it to you after the podcast.
What's the other ending?
I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
It's something that I want people to experience.
Little side story, just if you're interested in this. So the drawings that show you where the crew are, they depict scenes. One of them's just like people there, and one of them there was a hanging, or not a hanging, but a firing squad. Yes. Someone got executed. It was called Justice at Sea. And then there's someone that you're trying to figure out who they are, and the person was killed by a monster right at the front of the ship. And it keeps saying that I'm trying to find him in the picture. I'm like, where is this fucking guy?
Yeah.
Where's this fucking guy? And he wasn't there, but his name was written there.
E.S.?
Yes. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I was like, this fucker. Like, that's why he's not in any of the pictures. And then you look at the sheet, and you're like, got it. All right, I know who this person is now. Really good. Very satisfying gameplay. If you're looking for a story, like Jake said, something that could only be in a video game, this is worth your $20 and a couple hours to check it out.
The best way to tell the story was a video game.
100%.
And it just knocked it out of the park.
100%.
So whatever game Lucas Pope makes next is...
He's on my list. Like
gonna be played.
You put me on to Concerned Ape and now the Lucas Pope. So, I mean, as far as indie games go, you're batting 1,000 right now.
Yeah, buddy.
Because I do love Stardew Valley. Any word on Haunted Chocolatier? Is that coming out?
Not much. I just see pictures every once in a while from Eric Barone.
He's got some Stardew expansion that he wants to put out, too.
I want to get the board game.
Yeah, they're doing another pressing of the board game.
Yes.
Apparently it's
the guy's
only for people that are really into board games.
They're like, you're going to be playing this for hours. This takes hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but also Stardew Valley. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it'll look nice on the shelf over there.
Exactly.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever play it, but
I'll put it right next to my Magic Lord of the Rings cards that I will never play those either. All right, let's get into my recommendation for Jake, which is the new album came out October 20th of this year, 2023, by the Rolling Stones. Called Hackney Diamonds.
Yes, sir.
It was recorded with them. Like I thought this was going to be one of those things. I went and looked at the chart or the credits for everyone, like who played on it, who wrote the stuff.
Mick Jagger,
still
Keith
them.
Richards. Yep,
still them. I mean, it has additional personnel and everything like that, but all the guys are in it. Ronnie Wood, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards. They're fucking there. Mm-hmm. Except for one song, the last song they cover, Rolling Stone Blues. It's a Muddy Waters song. But that's where they get their name from. So, kind of, little tribute.
It's nice. Yeah.
It was produced by this guy, Andrew Watt, who I'm not super familiar with, but he's a guy in his 30s.
Wow.
From New York. Just gets to work with the Rolling Stones.
And he's like, did they come to him or did he come to them?
I don't know.
Rolling Stones seems like a band that comes to you and being like, I need you to make me my music.
I don't think Mick Jagger's like out looking for hot new producers.
I think he's doing it all the time. I think he's walking down every street looking for any door to open. It'd be like, where am I recording? Yeah.
Popping into a rock club trying to find out what's new on the street.
Keith Richards just strolling behind him,
smoking.
strumming the guitar, just being like, right here, okay.
So I am not a huge Rolling Stones guy. I touched on this briefly last week. Rolling Stones, to me, they were always just one of those bands that I know is a classic band.
Yeah.
But I never got all into. I listened to, I always put them on a level with, I would say, the Eagles.
Yeah.
I know of them.
The greatest hits.
I got their greatest hits.
Uh-huh.
It's fine. If a Rolling Stones if you put on Paint It Black, I'm like, fuck yeah, this song rules.
Yeah.
But I'm not like Rolling Stones are the greatest band of all time. I'm
Right.
not one of those people. There are people like that for every band, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm like that for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And I'm sure there are plenty of other people that are like, yeah, Tom Petty, I get the greatest hits and everything like that.
Right.
You
You have any idea how awkward it was when I ran into somebody that was older than me that didn't know anything about Tom Petty?
Everyone likes Tom Petty.
They didn't know any songs from Tom Petty.
And I'm sure there are people that say that about me and the Rolling Stones.
That's
so
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it was because we're crazy about Tom Petty, so
Absolutely.
we know a lot of it.
Well, we're
And
two
just
red-blooded Americans with beating
that's what I'm
hearts and
saying.
working ears.
So when I was talking to somebody and they're like, I don't know what Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I don't know. Is that a band?
Were they in a cult?
They were guitarists.
Really?
They used to teach people how to play the
Maybe
acoustic guitar.
Maybe they refer to it as Mike Campbell and Tom Petty.
Maybe no Mud Crutch?
Yeah. They just go deep.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Mud Crutch? Yeah.
But I grew up with Tom Petty so much. There was a time I remember in high school where someone, a friend of mine, who big into Bob Dylan. I'm not a big Bob Dylan guy either. I like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But he brought up Bob Dylan. I was like, oh, you mean the guy from the Traveling Wilburys?
Yeah.
That's who Bob Dylan was in my mindset. He was that guy from Tom Petty's other band. But back to the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
This kind of just
But I
popped
get
up
you.
on my radar. Yeah, I wanted to set the temperature. It's like, I don't hate the Rolling Stones, but I don't love the Rolling Stones either. I'm in that mindset. So this popped up. I forget what podcast I was listening to it on, but someone mentioned, they're like, yeah, the new Rolling Stones album is really good. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? Is that true? Mm-hmm. And I popped it in on Spotify and listened to the first couple songs, and I was just like, shit. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy this. Something I didn't think I would say to anyone in the year 2023 or at any point in my life. I never thought I would say, have you heard the new Rolling Stones album? It's really good.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new Beatles song?
Yeah, I saw that it was released, but
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it yet. No.
I've listened to it.
Is it good?
It's okay.
Sounds
If
like
you're a
Beatles.
Beatles fan, you're going to love it. You're going to go crazy for it.
I like some Beatles, the rest of the Beatles.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I like the Beatles. So when
I
heard
don't
the
want to
song,
sit next
I
to a
was
guy at
like,
a bar that wants to talk to me about Norwegian wood for 15 minutes, and I'm just like, God,
Yeah.
come on. No, I don't want to. But, yeah, so I wanted you to listen to it because I was like, this kind of opened me up to the Rolling Stones, and I kind of want to...
check out more.
I don't know if I want to check out more of their B-sides, but I feel like there's stuff here that I'm missing.
Yes.
Well, obviously there's a fucking reason everyone knows who the Rolling Stones are.
Yeah, they are one of the best rock and roll bands.
Right.
Yeah,
It's that classic rock band style that came out of that era, the four-man rock group where you had your front man, your bassist, your guitarist, and your drummer. You had that and Zeppelin, Stones, The Who, where you had the front man, not so much like the Beatles because you had Lennon and McCartney, but you had a front
people.
man
Yeah.
who was he was the guy. He was the face of the band. You had Robert Plant and Mick
Yeah.
Jagger. And
Then you had your amazing guitarists with
virtuoso in your
Richards or Jimmy Page.
and then you had your drummer who's crazy, and then you had a bass player, which is good. And nothing against Ronnie Wood. Ronnie Wood's a good bass player. Although he left the band for some I don't know too much about it. Like I said, I don't know much about the Rolling Stones.
But
also on this album you get tracks with Elton John, a track with Paul McCartney, a track with Lady Gaga.
yeah.
So it's just really good. I came out to it and I was just like, the first song, Angry, which I believe is the single,
Yeah.
got me in. And I think the second song on the album, Get Close, was my favorite.
Yeah.
And that was also co-written by this kid, Andrew Watt.
Oh, the producer?
Yeah. And the rest of them were just Jagger and Richards. Just banging it out in their fucking 80s. Just making good music.
Angry, the first song, when it started playing, I was like, this is great. This is Rolling Stones music. This is perfect.
If you had played
I'm very happy.
If you had played that for me in 2001 and said this is from a 1970 album, I would have been like, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The song with Paul McCartney on it, Bite My Head Off, really good song.
Yes.
Like, extremely great song. My favorite, probably coming out of all of this, was Tell Me Straight, sung by Keith Richards.
Yes.
And I was like, I really like his voice.
I had
I
to
really
look
like
up-
what he's singing about. This is the only somber song, I would
Yeah.
say, on the whole album. And I think it was beautiful. I think it was beautifully done.
Yeah.
And then it goes right back to Mick Jagger being all like, I want to sing about spoons. And you're like, cool.
He does have that great spoon song.
Yeah, he does. He has one who's like, if you're going to live by the spoon, you better lick the plate. That's a line in one of the songs.
Yeah. Works, though.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah.
it just sounded like Rolling Stones music to me.
And I think Get Close I liked. It was a little more upbeat, a little poppy. And that also has Elton John on the piano in that song. And just fucking killing it.
Yeah.
It's so...
It doesn't feel like anything groundbreaking. You
No.
know what I mean? But it just feels like they're like, we have really good music we still want to make. And that's it. You know what it reminded me of was
What's
the Counting Crows single that you had me listen to.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
It's Butter Miracle Suite.
Yeah, they're just making good music. They're
Yeah.
like, we know what we're doing. We know what we want to make. And here it is. And like, booyah. You know?
Fucking killing it.
They're not writing their, working wrinkles in their forehead trying to make the greatest music that they could ever make.
I got some of those.
But-
How old is Mick Jagger, top of your head?
80.
80 on... Did you look it up?
No.
He's 80 on the button.
Boom.
At time of recording.
Booyah. I knew they were 80.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how 80 they were.
But just at 80...
Just at 80 being like, we still have really cool songs we want to make. And then
I
booyah.
put them into the same thing. We talked about this a couple months ago when it came out, but having Mel Brooks involved in History of the World. But that wasn't... Mel Brooks was briefly in that, and he was involved in the writing, but that was kind of him passing the torch on to new people. This would be like... Putting this out now is like if Mel Brooks put out a new movie that he was in, and he directed, and he starred in, and he wrote, and he's like, no, fuck you. I can still make funny stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck you, we can still make rock and roll.
Yeah.
So good to see. Like, I don't know why this
It
just...
feels great. It's such
I was
good,
bopping around listening to this. I was just in a good
It's
mood.
good dad rock for anybody.
It's not dad rock like myself as a father. It's my dad rock.
Exactly. It's dad rock.
It's granddad
It's our dad rock. And it's still, like, if...
It's boomer grandpa rock.
I
and
feel
it's fine.
like if I gave my dad this album and said, yeah, this came out in 1980, he'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, haha, F you, it came out not even a month ago.
Joke's on you, Dad.
Yeah.
Shows what you know about the Rolling
Grow up.
Stones. Yeah, I played this a little bit. I was in the car with my mom, and I was put on for her. And she liked it. She's not a big Rolling Stones fan by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
It's really good.
it was so surprising.
I do give it a 3.
You give Rolling Stones get a 3. Did you
Yeah.
think for a minute you would be saying the Rolling Stones get a 3?
I always knew that they were a 3 band anyway.
But
My
a
dad
new
loves-
album.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how like consistently great every song was. And there's like no lull in this album.
And you know
so
what's
it's surprising that it's like a really one of their really good albums.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't have anything to relate it to. Like, is every one of their albums this good? Maybe. Like, I'll tell you, I love, like I've mentioned before, I love Tom Petty, but Echo's not the best album. Mojo's not the best album.
Sure. We
That-
have it in our understanding because we're big fans
Right.
of Tom Petty.
But I wouldn't give that to someone who, like,
I would tell people Styx is great. Listen to the greatest hits, you know? And if you like that, go and get Pieces of 8. You know what I mean? But from there, you're on your own because, like, there's Styx out there that I don't even enjoy.
there's definitely bands that I've slid into their fandom later in life. Like, I was in my probably like mid-20s when I started listening to Rush a lot.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, fuck this. How did I sleep on this, like, through my high school
I've
years?
seen them twice in concert.
Nice. But I was just like, high school Taylor would have fucking loved Rush.
Yeah.
Like, he should have been listening to it this whole time.
I don't know. I hung out with my uncle and my dad a lot growing up. And, like, this is the stuff that they listened to: Rolling Stones, Rush, David Bowie, Styx, Elton John. Styx, baby. Everybody sleeps on them. And they're just so incredible. It's absolutely ridiculous. Especially now, with how nerdy they are. People will love them.
Again,
They're
I know Mr. Roboto.
Crazy nerdy. Yeah, that's a whole rock opera.
Do you ever meet someone that's really into one band and you're just like, I never met anyone that was that big? It's like running into someone and be like, you don't fucking listen to the good Electric Light Orchestra songs? They're like, really? ELO?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
sure.
I have a friend that's totally into ELO like that.
Really? I
Yes.
just pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah, I definitely have a friend that's like, do you want to come with me? I'm going to go see ELO perform.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
He was in the Traveling Wilburys too. Yeah, I was shocked at how good this was.
Yeah.
I'm really happy you enjoyed it too.
Absolutely. It was great.
Yeah.
I miss listening to rock and roll all the time.
You know what?
It's going to put me back on the classic rock kick, you know?
And this isn't classic rock. This is
But
modern.
it wants to kick me back into classic rock.
Yeah.
I've been listening to my Neko Case, actually. She's really great. I love
Who's
her.
that?
I'm probably going to make you listen to her. But I want to get back into listening to classic rock again, so I'm probably going to do that.
There's nothing better than some rock and roll.
Yes. Just nice. Rock and roll, your parents would say, go ahead and listen to that.
Their parents would have fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And they did hate it.
Oh, my gosh.
In the 50s.
Yeah, my grandparents are so pissed off at this music. They're like, the Rolling Stones are back.
God damn it. I told you those hooligans
Devil
are up to
worshippers.
How funny would it be if there's someone who's like, I guess now they would have to be like 100
Yeah.
that are mad at Mick Jagger. Be like, I told you he was trouble back in 1967.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, good on them for still being awesome.
Okay, so that's available like everywhere. I mean, we don't need to give the Rolling Stones any.
If anybody, if you're
press.
into if you're into rock and roll like I am,
Yeah.
maybe go out there and check out Rolling Stones.
I don't know if you guys have heard this, but the Rolling Stones, these
my
these
favorite-
kids got something. Let me tell you.
It's one of my favorite bits from Scott Aukerman.
Yeah?
He's got a section called "Maybe It's Just Me, But For Me," and he goes, "Maybe it's just me, but for me, when I'm listening to music, you gotta talk about the Beatles."
I haven't seen that bit, but that's great.
It's a good bit.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Up Your Alley Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify as well. We're really trying to get the numbers up on Spotify because they host the podcast and they like it when we do stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Spotify.
So if you're listening to it, or even if you just have Spotify, just click follow, do anything. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to bug you. It's one episode a month.
We're not gonna bug you.
Or one episode a week.
Can we send out notifications like that?
I don't want to. But if you follow it, then it just pops up in your feed. It's like, hey, new episode from these guys,
okay.
which you'll get on Fridays. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Be sure to tell your friends about the podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, give us your thoughts. If there's any hot new bands like the Rolling Stones, I still can't believe we did a fucking episode about the Rolling Stones, but I had to talk to you about it. I was flabbergasted. Send those emails to upyouralleypod@gmail.com, or if you have a recommendation, something you think we should check out. But first, let's figure out what we're going to be talking about next week. Next week will be episode 50.
Woohoo!
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Not me.
Doing this for a year.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah, pretty good.
Definitely
Wait,
a year because
what-
we took a couple weeks off.
When was the first one put out?
I think it was in November.
I think it was November. What day is it today? We're recording?
Today is November 5th.
Ooh.
Yeah. November
Guy
5th.
Fawkes Day.
Oh, yeah. Remember. I forgot
The
that.
5th of November, Gunpowder Treason and Plot.
I don't know no reason the gunpowder treason ain't never gonna get forgot.
Wow.
That's right.
That really just...
The South will rise again.
You know what? I could tell that you really like poetry just based
Yeah,
on
right?
how you nailed that.
How I remember stuff.
Hold on, let me scroll down real quick. When was the first one put out?
I don't know, man. You tell me, dude.
November 10th was the first one.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So we're coming up on our anniversary.
1 year. of
So
the
it'll
podcast.
be when this one comes out.
Yeah,
It'll be
this
our
will be 1
anniversary
year.
episode.
Fucking A. How about that?
Look at that. Happy 1 year, buddy.
Happy 1 year. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around for a year. We just put all this together.
Look at that.
Really coming together like the Rolling Stones. So, Jake, what do you got me looking at for next week?
One more video game for you, bud.
All right.
All right? Got to go back.
Uh-oh.
We're going to play Max Payne. That's right.
The OG Max Payne?
The OG Max Payne.
So this is
You
the
can
guy
find
that
it
did
on-
Alan Wake, right?
Yeah, this is Sam Lake's first game.
Uh-huh.
And you can find it on any console, I'm sure. I think it was $5 last time I saw it. And you're going to play it. Let me know what you think of it.
How much am I going to be...
You're going to enjoy playing it because it's very fun. It's a very fun video
Does
game.
it hold up, though?
Yes, absolutely. I play this game once a year.
Okay.
I play this, all the Max Paynes.
Looks like I can get it in the PlayStation Store for $9.
See,
so that'll
not
work.
bad, right?
Just Max Payne 1, not Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne.
I mean, that one is my favorite out of the series, but you got to start with Max Payne 1. You have to.
And I'm not watching the Mark Wahlberg movie.
No, I haven't watched.
Can I watch the Mark Wahlberg movie?
I'm never going to. I'm not your
Can we watch Max Payne and then Uncharted?
I know
for
that
just Mark Wahlberg video game movies.
It doesn't follow the. Oh man, there's such a good beat in Alan Wake 2 about that movie, and it's insane.
I wouldn't
it's
get the
insane
reference.
That it's in there.
Well, I'm glad you like Alan Wake
Holy.
2. Glad it's your game of the year.
If you like this game, then we'll work your way up to playing Alan Wake 2.
Christ, man.
And then you just wait 13 years.
Why do I feel like I'm riding a bicycle of good video games, and you're the dad just pushing behind me, and you're like, "You got it, buddy. Just
it's
keep
crazy
pedaling."
to me that people like. I don't know. Like I follow a lot of video game writers. I'm friends with video game writers, and
Name drop.
I,
All right,
I didn't even
that's
say their names.
That's fine.
I'm going to ask them if I can talk about one of their video games, though.
Fair enough.
And because I do have one more video game we want you to play after this. So I guess I do have a little thing going on.
Yeah, you do.
Look at me. Video game Jake. That rhymes.
It's all right.
But yeah, Max Payne,
Max Payne.
it's really fun. You're going to enjoy playing it, and I hope that the story connects with you.
Okay.
Because we're going to be talking about that story, baby.
All right. So I've got something for you. Something that popped up. I don't have any memory of this coming out, but it popped up in my recommended Netflix thing.
I don't have Netflix anymore, bud.
That's all right. We'll figure it out. It came out in 2022, June 17th on Netflix. A film called Spiderhead.
No.
Have you heard of Spiderhead?
No.
So Spiderhead stars Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
But I had no memory of this being released. And two actors who I really enjoy. Miles Teller in one of my favorite movies of probably the past 10 years in Whiplash. And Chris Hemsworth just being fucking jacked and Australian and charming as hell. The less you know about this movie going into it, the better.
More fun?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say that I wouldn't even bother watching the trailer. It's an hour and 45 minutes. I'll just tell you that it's listed here as
Spiderhead.
Sci-fi psychological thriller. And it's directed by Joseph Kosinski. He did most recently, a good film of his is he did Tron Legacy and Top Gun, New Top Gun.
Oh, I haven't seen New Top Gun.
New Top Gun's
My
great.
conspiracy on that one is nobody actually likes that movie.
I freaking like that movie.
I don't believe you. My conspiracy theory is
Maybe I didn't.
yeah, I don't think you did.
It's all right. We're going to have Tom Cruise on the podcast.
We can talk about it.
So he did that, and then it's based on a short story by George Saunders. Do you know who George Saunders is?
Bernie Saunders is
that's-
younger brother.
It's Bernie Sanders, and this is Saunders. So no,
Colonel Saunders chicken.
it's Colonel Sanders. Deion Saunders.
Let's go into.
You're going Deion
I was
Saunders.
going there.
That actually makes more sense. Deion Saunders.
Deion Saunders.
So he's a writer, fiction writer. He does a bunch of short stories. This Escape from Spiderhead that this is based on was a short story that was published in the New Yorker. Which the most disturbing thing about the beginning of the film, it says with the studio logos and everything like that at the beginning, just says the New Yorker, and I'm like,
Huh.
good for you, the New Yorker. Look at you with your magazine.
With your top hats and your sipping.
Yeah, George Saunders also wrote a great short story called Fox 8, which if people haven't read that, it's one of my favorite little things.
Okay.
But
even heard
yeah,
of it.
Spiderhead on Netflix. Jake's going to be talking about that. I'm going to be
Spiderhead.
playing Max Payne, original Max Payne.
Max Payne.
And thanks for everybody for listening. Jake, thanks for coming over. I'll see you. Love you, buddy.
I love you, buddy.
See you.